Thank you for following me over to Westview this morning. Westview really is kind of the linchpin or the heart of our overall building plan for the next 20 years that we have. But it's a little cold out here today, so let's go inside where we can talk about that a little bit further. So the question I hear is, how does the Westview option address the capacity needs and the issues that we have as it relates to the large number of students we have in our buildings? When we initially started addressing our student needs back probably 20 years ago, 1996 referendum, one of the major aspects of that was to build onto the middle school, which was a 5-8 building at the time. The plan was never for fourth grade to be over at the middle school. We also had some changes that took place over the years at Neil Wilkins, in that when we initially had Neil Wilkins built, there was no 4-year-old kindergarten for our students. And now, as a major part of Platteville Public Schools program, we offer our 4-year-old kindergarten program. All of that created a space crunch in our various buildings and these rapid transitions over every couple of years throughout our buildings. When St. Mary's School closed down, that created a situation where many welcome students were brought into our school district from St. Mary's, but it also did kind of complicate some of our space needs.
Really tight in this building. We have a lot of students, 546 currently. The 5 grade level configuration is a challenge. I feel like the schedule that we have is the best we can do. I don't think it's the best for kids, but it's the best that we can do. And that's hard as an educator. Whether you're a teacher or a principal, the best you can do, really? No, we want what's best for kids. But lunch, for example, I start serving lunch at around 11 o'clock. I don't stop serving lunch till 12:50. And kids are rotating in and out of there. They have 20 minutes to eat. That's not good, but if I don't want to overlap the grades too much, that's about the time they get. That's the best we can do. Not the best for kids. Also, the number of classrooms. If I have to, or when I have to add that additional section, because it's coming up from the elementary, I'm going to have to yank out a computer lab. I have no free classrooms anymore. The space is tight. We get to that point where we're actually doubling up the gym. We have 50 plus kids in the gym. And then there are times where I also have to have a gym class in the commons, which isn't an ideal. But to try to get everyday Phi-Ed for the elementary kids, which I think is important, that's a scheduling challenge in this building. And I think that elementary aspect would be better served in an elementary setting, which is part of the reason why I'm excited for that 1-4 building possibility, to get those kids in a schedule that's more conducive for them.
I think anytime you have 50, sometimes more students in the same space, any issue gets amplified, whether it's a discipline issue or it's an activity issue. A struggle for us, I think, it would be when we're trying to teach our own students something that we want them taught. Now we have to make sure that we're cooperating with each other, that there's no distractions, that we're able to do that in a productive setting for the students. And it can be difficult when there's that many students. That just means that many more issues can arise.
You always have to figure out, because we want to have as many students active as long as possible. So the second someone stands around, we're in trouble. That's when chaos happens. So we always have something planned, like not always, but most of the time planned on the stage. We use the hallway a lot, and then the gym, whatever the main activity is for the day. The biggest thing is trying to supervise all the different areas, depending on how many kids. Like say, when we were doing our badminton tournament, Brandon was downstairs, like in the gym, and then I was up doing, whether it was juggling or
We had some
tic-tac-toe, just a whole bunch of different things that you could do in a smaller space, whether it was the bikes or whatever it was, but the curtains were closed. So then, we have to know each other's students, even though we don't take attendance for them, so you're kind of providing feedback, hey, this one was not doing as well. But I guess one of the other concerns we had is like, the fourth grade when they're downstairs in the commons, like, and we use gymnastics or basketball or anything that involves a ball or equipment. Like when they're downstairs, they don't get that opportunity to participate in those events. So he always has to plan a totally different curriculum for downstairs. Like it can't be the same. I mean, we could try like with the push-ups, sit-ups in that realm, like a warm-up, but the games have to be like more along the lines of tag games or...
Well, along with the equipment, you know, having to haul that back and forth, you know, if it's in use upstairs, that's going to have priority. You can only haul so much down there. There's only so much storage down there. The storage down there is used for the recess equipment, which is needed. We just have to be very creative in that small commons area. And as you saw, my goal was to try to get students as active as possible. However creatively I can do that. The kids have been very good about it, but I feel like I'm selling them a little bit short. But I mean, they're still excited to be there. We have a lot of fun down there. But I don't know if they know what they're really missing.
Anytime you have teachers that are supposed to be on a team and they're separated by space, that's tough. I see the relationship that forms between like the fourth grade team, which is all upstairs, and then the challenge that exists between my fifth grade team, where 2 of them are upstairs and 2 of them are downstairs. You just don't get that quick interaction about, hey, did you notice this, or how did that lesson go for you, and you know, just those changes that you can make on the fly, because you have that opportunity. I even have a little challenge with my 6th grade. Most of them are in one area, but because of where my classrooms are, I have a 6th grade section that's not in that pod, so to speak. It's down the hall. That even poses a challenge. Not nearly as different floors, but anytime you have that space issue, yeah, it puts a little strain on the team's ability to communicate. And that communication is usually for the best interest of kids.
I feel like there's so many wonderful parts of 5th grade, but one of the challenges is definitely having 2 of us upstairs and 2 of us downstairs, due to the fact that we share kids in reading and math, and it's really hard for them to transition time, so we're losing minutes, instructional minutes with the students because they have to go up and downstairs and whose room is in what room, and wrapping around students, and just that we have to make it we don't get to just see each other in the hallway. We have to go into their rooms specifically to talk about a kid instead of just bumping into each other in the hallway. As we go upstairs, we see the 4th grade and the 6th grade, the 4th grade upstairs and the 6th grade downstairs in this little pod, all 4 of them talking or 5 of them talking. And as 5th grade teachers, we have to assign a meeting time because we can't just run into each other, which is a little bit frustrating. So, but we make it work.
Yeah.
So I feel like collaboration is so important for the 5th grade team, and we do try to do a very good job at that and work together, but it's really hard when some of them are upstairs and some of us are downstairs. And when we want to pull out a group of students from both classes, from like Miss Jude and I in my class, and we want to meet with a small group out in the resource area, we can't always do that because the 6th grade class might be having a presentation, or even the 7th and 8th grade class, because our pod out here, our resource area, is the only space large enough for a whole class period or for a whole grade level. So the 8th graders have to come down sometimes and use the space. The 7th graders come down and use the space. So if we want to work with a small group of children, there isn't a classroom available, nor is our pod, our work area, available for them as well, which is really, it's just a little frustrating because sometimes I need a couple of students from her room and a couple of students to my room to reteach something, and I don't have a space to do that. And it would just be, or if we go upstairs, then the 4th graders are coming back from lunch and they don't mean to interrupt, but they need to walk into their classrooms, which then we have to stop what we're doing and restart everything. So it's a little bit frustrating.
Limitations include we don't have enough of the age-appropriate centers out every day, because like science center, there isn't a hands-on science center. Math, I'd love to have a math center out for them to go and explore the different levels and geometric shapes, and My library and dramatic play are basically one in the same area.
A writing center.
Writing center is, right now mine is combined with the art center.
And a listening center.
Yes, there's lots of age-appropriate centers that we just can't have because we don't have the physical space to keep them set up. And then there's the transition times of setting things out versus just being able to have them there all the time. Also the storage, then you have to keep taking them away, and where do you put them when they're not in use? So, what else?
I think the biggest thing is just how we have the smallest learners as far as their size, but they require the most space. They require room for movement. They're not going to be learning if they're just sitting in one place. They need to be moving around all throughout the day.
Yes, and we tend to move around on top of each other at times. There's just some children don't have the balance and coordination that others do, and they're just constantly running into each other and hurting each other. Like yesterday, I had a friend that got pretty badly hurt because she got stepped on. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of room for going around. So every transition is like that. When we line up at the door, it's everything, it feels like in my room that everything ends up being into a funnel, and because it goes into a small area that all of them are trying to get to at the same time, and it does cause problems every time we go to line up. I mean, I've tried to do transition, you know, they know that they have to go a certain direction, but it's like going into a funnel because it's a small area.
So Westview, you've probably heard out in the community, we talk a lot about the Westview option. The Westview option is more than just Westview. The Westview option is really what we're using to address the space concerns and needs that we have at Neil Wilkins, at Westview, and at Platteville Middle School. Westview Elementary School, under this proposal, would become a first grade through fourth grade building. Right now it's only second and third grade. By doing that, we would move first grade out of Neil Wilkins, and we would move fourth grade out of the middle school and bring them here together at Westview Elementary School. This accomplishes a couple different things, one of which is it addresses the space concerns, but it also really reduces the number of transitions our families have. If you are one of those families that have kids right now at Neil Wilkins and then Westview and Platteville Middle School, I can't even imagine what your morning looks like as you try and drop kids off at those various schools. Or you have a concert one night in a building and conferences in the other building. One of the things that I see as a parent of my own children that I would have been uncomfortable with is the fact that our children are able to go to a school for a couple years, and then all of a sudden they're into the next school, and then all of a sudden they're into the next school. And those kind of transitions are difficult for our students. We really feel that this plan really helps address that for both of our students and our staff and our parents as well. It gives more of an opportunity for our first through fourth grade teachers to really have an opportunity to talk and collaborate and work together to make sure that those really important early learning years are seamless for our students and have the most impact on their overall education while they're here with us. Now, certainly the cost part of the referendum is higher to do the Westview building option. But, you know, I've been asked many times over the last couple weeks or over the last months, why not open OE Gray back up? OE Gray has been, as many of you know, has been closed now for a couple different years. One of the problems with having many schools in a district is the high cost of operation of those buildings. It is actually cheaper for our taxpayers in Platteville School District to build on in addition to Westview High School or Westview Elementary School and have the students go there as opposed to opening OE Gray back up and having a whole nother building that we're trying to operate and keep running. Please take a look at our website, take a look at our Facebook page, come to our information sessions, ask us questions. We want to make sure that you understand how important this is to Platteville schools. please join me in voting on April 7th. You ready, Henry? Go Hillmen!